amigos, ¿cómo están? Muy buenas tardes. This is English, not Spanish, right? Can somebody tell me where I am today, please? Thank you so much for joining. This is one more of Con Mary Rabago, Show Journalism with a Purpose. And today is one of the topics that I am more passionate about because as a parent, as a community member, that's okay, Larry. You have a button right here. Just go ahead and lower it down. That's one of our guests that is sharing the link, and that's exactly what I'm going to ask you to do. Remember that we're still celebrating our 4th anniversary, so if you share the link of Mary Rabago Productions, you invite your friends to like our page. Guess what? You're going to be participating in a raffle for $100 cash. Yes, to this Friday, it would be the next drawing, and you can win the $100. A small way to thank you for your support. And as I was saying a minute ago, one of the topics that we're discussing today is education. One of the ones I'm more passionate about as a parent and member of this community. We have so much to do and so much area to grow when it comes to education, particularly here in Arizona. And if we don't hear the stories of people that can say that thanks to education, their life changed, and it was an 180-degree change, possibility, opportunity for success. How many of you can relate to that? If you see me on the phone right now, guess what I'm doing? Exactly what I just asked you to do. Please go ahead and share this link so more people can join our conversation. Remember that this is interactive. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube also at this time. So without more ado, I'm going to introduce our two first guests today. We have Martine Paris Jr. How are you, Martine?
Hello, Mari. I'm doing very well today.
What
very
an
excited.
honor to have you here in our house. Martine has an amazing story. You're now the vice principal?
Yes.
Okay, not president, but principal from Academia del Pueblo School here in the Valley.
Yes.
Friendly house. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Next to Martine, we have Larry Tracy. He has many hats, but the one he's wearing today, he's representing the board for the Education Foundation for Buckeye School District, correct, Mr. Tracy? Your mic?
Buckeye Elementary School District.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I have the honor to serve in that board with Larry also.
Yes.
So, Larry, entertain myself a little bit. Yes, listen to the story of Martine, because I think you're going to be like many other people in a moment. Martine, can you tell us where you are from and why education had been the thing or the choices that gave you a 180-degree success option?
Well, thank you, Mari. Every time I'm next to you, it's very honoring and humbling for me. You're very respected in the community, and
not because I'm older than you, right? Or you grew up watching me or anything like that.
But I mean, you asked the question in education. Education for me had transformed my life in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
It transformed my life in the way that it gave me the possibility and the hope to make better decisions, but to become someone in life. I was middle school, to fast forward, I was in middle school and 7th grade, struggling academically. And when I was a freshman in high school, I was not at grade level. I was way behind grade level.
Okay.
Reading at a 3rd, 4th grade level, but it was because of the support, the mentorship of teachers, and looking beyond what I was showing them, what I was fronting up someone that I really wasn't and trying to fit in a box. But overall, education has provided me the opportunity to make better decisions and allowed me to be who I am today. It didn't happen overnight, but I think that we need to move beyond looking at students just by the number or test score. It's more far beyond than just a simply statistic.
Well, wait a second, Martine. You're making it sound so nice and proper, but I want the scoop, the real thing. Have you guys seen that movie Straight Outta Compton? It's a very popular movie. And tell me why your story relates so much to that movie, Martine.
Well, now if you want me to be real, hey, you
yes,
mentioned
I want
Compton.
the real story
So
here.
I actually grew up, as Mari mentioned, I grew up in Compton, California, very high poverty community, high violence, gang violence, and growing up to what Mari's alluding to. And what I was trying to go to is that, growing up in that community, it was very difficult to truly see the importance of education. My parents, too very hardworking, they would always mention the importance of it, family. But then when I would go out in the community, I didn't really see a connection to why it was so important. I didn't see myself within that. And it was teachers like Miss Clagon in 7th grade. Hopefully Miss Clagon's watching me, but who saw beyond what I was, acting up in class, and really started giving me that one-on-one attention. And that carried on to when I was in high school. Unfortunately, if I fast forward 4 years after, my younger brother, he took a different turn, and it was because of the education system. He fell through the cracks, what we call now the school to prison pipeline. And as I went on to college, it made American dream a reality, a goal, a dream for not just me but my family. But when I was there in college, I never truly felt successful because I was there, my brother wasn't. And 4 years after in college, as I kind of crossed the stage, in and out the prison system. So for me, education not only transformed my life, but it's now become a lifelong calling to make sure that I give back to those students like myself, like my brother, who are giving that opportunity to see themselves and realize their true potential to reach their goals and dreams.
Well, taking your background, your story, your amazing story, as a platform to help and guide the kids of the school that you're serving right now, I could say honestly that is the perfect fit. It's a Title I school, low income backgrounds, mostly immigrants from different community that are somehow facing what you mentioned years ago. It was your reality. Am I wrong?
No, you're completely correct, and that's one of the reasons why I was a teacher. I was a middle school teacher, and I took that because I wanted to impact more students. And now in the role that I have, to your point, I see myself in every single one of my students. Coming from an immigrant household, both my parents from Mexico. I was an ELL student. I was suspended a few times, multiple times in middle school. And when I see the students in my school, over 95% Latino, Title I school, I see myself in them. And when they walk in through those doors, or when they get off through the school bus every morning, I feel blessed to have the opportunity to give back to what gave to me.
Now, Larry, with that baby face that Martine has, that angel face, do you really believe somebody would have, the heart to suspend him not once, twice, but several times?
I understand.
The mic, please. I cannot hear you without the mic.
I understand exactly because the great thing is change took place, and now you're there to be a role model and to make a difference in others' lives, and that's so neat. I mean, where you're at right now, it's the right spot to be, because you can have a tremendous impact on those that are students that are there that are just like you. And it takes that one person in each person's life to make that difference.
Yes.
Now, Larry, how does it make you feel knowing that on the many hats that you wear daily, one of them being a member of the school board or education foundation for Buckeye Elementary School District, allows you to support people like Martine so they can continue doing this amazing mission and making a true change in their classrooms, which entitles or translates to making a change in our communities?
Well, the Education Foundation, the Buckeye Elementary School, one of the cool things about that is actually a few hours ago, the foundation gave mini grants to 35 teachers throughout the Buckeye Elementary School District. Over $25,000 worth of grants. Teachers applied, but this helps students do those special things they're really not able to do because of the funding that's not there. So teachers write the grants, they're accountable for the grants and the funding and how that's spent, but there's so many different areas that these funds are helping students take their learning to a deeper level. It's incredible. So that just happened this afternoon. And one of the things we do with that is we do annual fundraisers, and one of the things that's coming up this year is going to be our gala event. We haven't set the date. It's sometime in March.
But it's so much fun. Come on, I got to interrupt you. I had a blast. I've been there the last 2 years before I was a member of the board, and it's amazing. You have a great time, plus you have the opportunity to really help, the work and the amazing work that the foundation does within the education community in the area of Buckeye.
And there's a lot of things that happen. It's a fun time. And this year it's going to be at Eldorado, which is down at the Equestrian Center, south end of Buckeye. So there's going to be some good stuff.
That means that I can wear my boots and hat and, you know, cinto piteado that I have somewhere in my closet. Although I hope Jarvis did not throw that away during the move.
And you can actually wear your heels.
My heels, yeah, because it's a gala. So I have to dress up and everything. I got to be made up. Right?
So no botas picudas.
No botas. So I guess I'll find another opportunity to wear my boots that one way or the other one. Now, Martine, hearing a little bit about what Larry does within, you know, the role that he plays within this school board, how important it is to have the support as a teacher of this kind of school boards, but particularly the community that understand, the particular here in Arizona, the teachers are extremely low pay. They face too many challenges, and yet we see people like yourself that have that passion, and that's not an obstacle, because with the kind of education that you have, like many other teachers, you can say, you know what, I can't do this. I have the passion, but I need money, and I need to be providing for my family, and I need a better pay, and I deserve better. So what is it that keeps you where you are? And how do you appreciate the work that people like Larry do?
Well, first of all, Mari, to Mari's point, thank you, Larry, for your service and your commitment. It's critical that we have foundations like Larry's, the Buckeye Foundation. And
you have to carry your mic with your voice when you change.
School board. Hey, I'm not used to this. I don't walk around with the microphone.
It's very jealous, Mike. You have to have it close to you.
But it's very critical because, as Mari has mentioned, you know, in Arizona, we're actually 49th, 50th in the nation for
bottom of the list.
Bottom of the list for paying our teachers' salaries. And on top of that, we're very lacking with our funding formula as a whole, bringing resources to the teachers and, more importantly, the students in the classroom. So foundations like Larry, school boards like in different districts and school charters as well are very critical, because it is through that it's an agency that ensures that what our schools are lacking are provided. For me, you asked the question, what keeps me and wakes me up every day. I would say it's that agency. It's that call of responsibility to allow and provide that space, not just to our students and families, but to your point, more importantly, our teachers. Our teachers are some of the most hardworking and more passionate professionals and individuals in our state, and
they're
our
so
teachers,
committed.
yes, and they are committed, and they have the story and passion. And later on, we're gonna hear from a few teachers.
Two of them that were awarded by the Esperanza Awards from CPLC, Chicanos por la Causa. They both have an amazing story, and what they do every day in the classroom impacts our community, impacts our families. And I get chills just to hear the stories, because all of us, and I can say without the doubt that all of us have in our memory a teacher that made the difference in our path, that encouraged us, that when there was a point that we were going to give up, that we didn't believe in ourselves, there was a teacher there showing us different. Yes or no?
Yes, you're correctly. And I was going to say, Maris, if I could just add, there's elections coming up. Bond overrides in a few districts. So please, teachers, get out there, spread the word. We need to make sure that we bring in more resources to our schools and to our districts.
Okay, Martin, when you go this, you do this, okay? It's a training process. We're live here, and I know it's a little bit different, but this is the way that people around our social media can actually hear you guys well. And the stories that you have are amazing. Now, we have Linda Valenzuela saying, Martin, thank you for sharing your story. Corina Chavez Madruga, hola, Martin, great job. You have a cheerleader team here, right? Don't you? We also have Araceli Gonzalez joining us today. We have Maria Isabel Ortega, Lisa Zavala. Hi, Junior. It's somebody in the family.
Oh, it's mi tia.
The tia is on the show right now. Well behaved at this point. So, also, talking about those bonds overrides, the same thing is happening in our community in Buckeye, right?
There's a override in Buckeye that's happening actually right now. It's a mail-in ballot only. But what an override! My first question when I heard about an override on a ballot.
What is it?
Well, not what is it. Is it going to increase my taxes? And the answer was no, it is not. This has already been in place. Everybody pays it right now. This is just the school district has to reapply every 5 years to continue to keep that funding in place. So it does not increase taxes. What it does, it just continues what's already in place that you're already paying. So I would encourage you to support that. I'm in the Buckeye schools multiple times a week. I see the great things teachers, counselors, and students are doing and the great work they do. And it is very important so that they can maintain, you know, the high quality of teachers they've got. They've got all-day kindergarten. They've got band. They've got all the sports. They've got everything in place. And that funding, when that goes, if that goes away, should this not pass, what happens is then they start to eliminate programs, and that would be very critical.
And as a parents, most of us know that in our schools, you know, different programs have all of a sudden disappeared because of the lack of funding. That is great that you explained to us, because yes, we want better for our kids, but then the economy is so bad that when anyone talks about raising the taxes, our budgets or our pockets get hurt in many ways. So it's a difficult decision in that aspect. So we have also a question saying, what does the teachers need most in classrooms right now? What is it?
So I would say
what don't you need in the classrooms, I should ask, right?
Well, thank you for that question. That's a very, I wouldn't say a very straightforward response to that. There's many things that teachers need, but I think one of the most important things that teachers need, I think there's a misconception out there that if you pay teachers more, that solves all the problems. And it does, but not necessarily. Teachers want to feel appreciated. They want to feel appreciated for their work, and they want to be provided with the resources. We now live in a stage in our society that we're so data driven and testing. It's very important at the end of the day, but I think that we need to make sure that we're taking care of our teachers, and that starts by hearing their concerns, hearing their suggestions, and really taking advantage of their expertise. All our teachers come from different backgrounds, and they all have a lot of experiences. So I would say among the many things that our teachers need, it's that to be provided that space and to be valued for who they are.
Appreciated. Totally agree with you, Martin. Maria Villalobos, I mean, you have a shared leader team here, crew. Dice, hi, niños, from Natalia and Jacobo. I'm assuming it's another family member. Ali from Avondale. How are you, Ali? Thank you so much. Do not forget to share the link. All of you guys, this way more people would hear the stories that our guests are sharing, and also the education that they're bringing to us when it comes particular to the education of our kids. What's our future? Definitely it's an education in our community. And even if you don't have kids, it's a responsibility as a member of the community to get involved when it comes to education. This is our future, and it depends on us. It's in our hands what kind of future our kids are going to have. So I think that's a huge responsibility on our shoulders, and we can all make a difference just by working and providing a little bit of our time, or just getting involved in at the end, just caring about it. Yes. Because Larry, you work in the schools too. You have many hats. Like I said, you're part, of coalitions. You have a program that works with kids in school. And do you see many parents present in the schools?
Only dropping the kids off in the morning. That's
exactly.
Or picking them up at the end of the day, but not in the schools themselves. So that's one of the things I encourage when I do Youth for Youth. Get a couple parents involved. Get parents here to see what we're doing, see the leadership skills that are being developed, because that makes all the difference. Because now they say, okay, wow, this is some great stuff going in schools. And there's a lot of times when you're in schools, parents never see the great things that are happening. They see the things when their son or daughter misbehaves.
Gets in trouble, like Martine used to, huh?
Exactly.
Hey, don't throw me under the bus.
No, the reason I'm throwing Martine under the bus is because I have a comment from Imelda Pérez. I don't know if you have heard about the lady. Dices, muy orgullosa de lo que nuestro hijo hace por la comunidad. Sigue adelante, Junior, eres nuestro héroe. In other words, she's saying that she's very proud of what their son is doing for the community. He is encouraging him to continue ahead, and you are our hero. Those are beautiful words from your mother.
They are. Thank you, Mari, for sharing that. It always gets me emotional because
I ain't getting about
it
to
is
cry.
because of that and who I am today. So thank you to my mom. I love you, Mom.
Gracias, Imelda, por darnos un hijo a la comunidad como Martín. Thank you so much. We also have María Villalobos. Niño, you are a role model from Natalia and Jacob. Ramona Pérez. Hola, mi niño. Love you, man. There's a lot of love in this family.
Wow.
I like that. Talking about getting appreciated, isn't it, Larry?
That's it.
Now, in In many ways, a lot of people do not participate in elections. And I am going to throw all of us Latinos under the bus. We do not get out, especially in this type of elections, that we're not selecting or voting for a president, or we're not making a huge impact. That's the wrong idea, because these are the kind of elections we should be participating, all of us, because thanks to these special elections in different cities, or districts, like in the case of Buckeye, Phoenix, the bonds overrides, it's thanks to those particular efforts that there are more funding in our school system.
And and that's a key. It's a mail-in ballot, so I mean, you got the ballot. Make sure you mail it in. In Buckeye, there's only 2 issues on the ballot, and so it's like people think, oh, it's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. The Buckeye Elementary School District needs your help with this. It's already in place. It's been going on for years. It's just a matter of bringing it back on and keeping it and consisting it and moving it forward. So that override, it does teacher pay and it works with maintenance. That's the only areas those funds are dispersed in. And the total of that is it puts $2.5 million into the school district.
That's only in Buckeye.
And
now
imagine
in
Buckeye, yeah.
How many bonds of this override bonds elections are going around the state? There are many of them. I know Phoenix is one of them. Everywhere you drive around, you'll see those signs. But if you don't educate yourself on what that is and how you can participate, then we're losing millions of dollars in the school systems, correct?
And to your question, in terms of bonds and overrides, there are many. I mean, if you Osborne School District, the Phoenix Union High School District, Alhambra, Isaac, there's many bonds and overrides. And to go back to Larry's point, in terms of getting out there and spreading the word, I would encourage our educators, our teachers, our families, our students, go out and spread the word. Even if you don't live in a district and you're a voter, your support matters, whether you live in the boundaries of that district or not, because that district and schools, they're depending on your vote. And to the ballot, stop being lazy. Take a break from the novelas or the Netflix, and go ahead and deliver your ballot. Because your voice matters.
Exactly.
Or mail, yes.
Which is many other opportunities. So we say hi to John Lowe Jr. in Tucson. Thank you so much for all that you and Candy do talking about the community in that aspect, in that side of our state. So thank you so much, John, for joining us today. In particular, we were talking about the story of Martine, Larry, and you heard many cases that's particular what happens within our school system. Kids that they're not feeling appreciated, there are not enough teachers or personnel to put attention to them. The parents are only dropping them off and picking them up, and most of the time you're sending them on the bus, so they don't have the attention that they need and they deserve, and they go on the cracks. They fall down on the cracks. Instead of becoming citizens like Martine. He has an impressive story when he says that every time he was entering a new level of education, his brother was entering at the prison system again. So those are really harsh words. And I'm sure Martine would love to see his brother follow his footsteps. Or he was older than you, wasn't he?
So I'm older.
You're the older. So you were setting the example, but that was not being followed for one reason or another one. There was not the same support for him that you were able to gather around your teachers and your family members, which I'm sure your parents were giving the same love and the same assistance to him also. How can we, as a community, and I ask you this question because you're involved in so many things, in particular when it comes to bringing the community to the school, how can we, as a community member, make a difference and avoid more kids going through the same situation and hardship that Martine's brother had experienced in his life?
It takes one caring adult to make a difference in the life of a child. And if you think back, people whose lives have changed, there was one person who was instrumental in their life. And if you can just go out on a daily basis and be that one caring adult, it may be a smile. A bus driver, first smile a student and the last smile a student sees at the very beginning and the end of a day may be the only smile is from that bus driver. Same thing, teachers. I've had so many teachers that have been that instrumental person that has changed the life of a child simply because they were there to listen, they were there to encourage, they didn't judge. Those are key factors. as community members, get involved with coalitions, get involved and be active in your community as far as one of the areas is, underage drinking, drugs, and alcohol. Those are key areas. Be aware of that, get involved, make a difference in your community, because when somebody goes down that particular path, what it does, it sets a whole chain of events, including prison, in place. And it's like, pay attention and be aware of when somebody's having a rough time. In fact, I came over here today, a student that was working with, I've got somebody following up with that person tomorrow, simply because something was going on with that person, something inside. And it's just that contact you do with the person, saying, hey, I noticed yesterday something wasn't right. What's going on?
You mentioned something that it really touched my heart. My oldest son was having hard times in the last 2 years of high school. And I'm never going to forget that the last day of school, he came home with a card from his bus driver. The words in that card were amazing, made me cry. He was talking about how an excellent kid he was, how he had touched his life, how the future was holding so many amazing things. And just those words of encouragement made a huge difference for my son. So yes, even the bus driver, not only the teachers, not only the, but also the members of the community and the families can make a difference in the kids. I wish I had more time to continue. Your stories are amazing, the work that you're doing, within the board or the community, the foundation, the education foundation. Martine, you have the opportunity every day to touch the kids, but particular, the message that you're sharing with us, I know is definitely going to be touching the lives of many members of our community, parents or not parents. It's our responsibility. I would like to hear about 20-second, 30-second message from you to our community. How can we better the system, the education for our kids here in Arizona and abroad? Because we have people joining us from different states in the country also.
So first of all, thank you, Mari, again for the opportunity, and it was great to be a part of this with Larry. I would say whether you're a parent, you're a student, you're a teacher, you're a community member, that it's very important that you use your story and you use your voice and your concerns and turn those into actions. Every day you have the opportunity from not just simply going to the school and making copies, but to taking that passion and turning it into action. What does that look like? Voting for bonds and overrides, asking questions in your school, and more importantly, helping your child understand that it's okay to make mistakes, but that you're there along the way. And lastly, I would say here in this country, we have that opportunity to make our goals and dreams a reality, whether we go at different pace. So in closing, I would say that your story matters. We all make America who it is because of our personal stories. So use that story. Encourage your student, your child, but more importantly, find ways to be more active than what you currently are right now.
Amazing, Larry.
And the story piece, Martine, is excellent, because when kids look at me and then they hear they know the story, it's unbelievable. They cannot believe it. So one of the key pieces with that, we mentioned the board, get involved. The foundation board, it's a whole group of us. It's a team. It's not me. I'm just a member. Mary, she's just a member. It takes that involvement. And you feel, well, what can I contribute? Be there. You'll start to find out. So if you've got a foundation board in your school district, get involved. Get involved in anything you can do in the community, including work with the police. The police do training academies and stuff like that for the students in the summer. You can get involved and donate that way and be involved that way. There's plenty of opportunities. You just got to get off the couch and make it happen. So
we need to start caring. That is the message for you. We have Silvia Araceli Aparicio says, involving students in problem-based learning can also impact the students greatly. Let them solve issues that exist within their community. Let them take ownership and find solutions. I totally agree with you on that. Marinia Herrera, cool. I am watching. Well, thank you so much for doing so. Martine, an honor to have you here with us. Larry, a pleasure to see you again here with us also. also. Thank you for the amazing work you're doing in the community. And we're going to go to a small break. When we come back, we're going to hear from two teachers that just received the Esperanza Award from Chicanos por la Causa, or CPLC, and their amazing story. What they do daily in their classroom matters, is an impact in our community and also our nation. We'll be right back. This is Con Mary Rabago, now in English. Periodismo con propósito, journalism with a purpose.
It has been a wonderful experience. I think that having the right level of information at all times to understand how together we can do a better job is great. You guys are great partners, and you took the time to understand why the campaign was important.
Is engage the community, so it becomes a conversation. It becomes a community project. When you call people together, thousands of people will come. There's no other agency can do that.
Mary's viewers are very loyal, very dedicated people to her, and so they trust her.
Mary Rabago Productions was much more timely, and the quality of the product when it was all said and done was fantastic.
You really do need a production company that understands not only the language, the culture, but has the professionalism.
We would support Mary Rabago's production in a professional manner. We know the quality, we know she is professional, and she has a team of people that are caring and very sensitive to the Latino issues in the United States.
My friend, do you want your children to fly as high as the eagles? With education, everything is possible. That is why Imagine Elementary College is the best option in the area. They provide the tools necessary to make sure your children are successful. Free transportation. Your children deserve the best, and that starts with a solid education. They provide classes that practice STEM, music, and sports. That is why I, Mary Rabago, recommend Imagine Elementary College, a free charter school. Call today, 520-723-5391, 520-723-5391. The basis of success is a good education for our children. That is why Imagine Prep College prepares them to succeed in the fields of greater demand in our economy, like science, technology, and engineering. With advanced academic instruction, choose Imagine Prep College for your children. Give them the best gift you could give them, a quality education for free. Call today, 520-424-2790, 520-424-2790. I, Mary Rabago, recommend it. Thank you so much for continuing with that. This is Con Mary Rabago, now in English, every Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Please join us here on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube, where we talk about topics that affect our community, topics that make a difference, and this is journalism with a purpose. You can also join us in Spanish, Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. here at Mary Rabago Productions, and all the social media platforms on top of it, 11:90 a.m. So it is an honor now to introduce our highlighted teachers of the day, because they do an amazing work, like I was mentioning before we went to the break. We have Alexis Aguirre. She just received the Esperanza Award from CPLC, and she's a teacher at Encanto School. Gracias, Alexis, for being with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell that I keep forgetting that I'm in the English show? I'm so used to just doing it in the Spanish one. And we also have with us Rafael Vasquez. He also was awarded with the Esperanza Award from CPLC, and you are from Simpson Middle School, correct?
Sí, claro.
Thank you so much for joining. I see I'm not the only one. He goes to Spanish too. See, that's the amazing part of being bilingual, right? That we can communicate with more people.
Absolutely.
So, Alexi, how do you felt when you got notified about this award? And also, I would like for you to educate us. What is the Esperanza Award? I know, but it might be a lot of people that are not related or informed or educated on this award.
The Esperanza Award is given by CPLC, Chicanos por la Causa, to highlight Latino teachers across Arizona about the work we're doing. It's really important to highlight our teachers because students who are taught by teachers that look like them perform better academically. And so we definitely want to highlight all teachers, but especially Latino teachers. For us, it's difficult to be able to go to college, finish a teacher program, and then get into a school, you know, and all of the work that we put into it. And so being able to highlight the efforts of those teachers in our communities that reflect our students' history and that continue to push our students forward is so important. I was really shocked when they came into my classroom.
I keep hearing that for some reason.
Yeah, we were in the middle of a math test and the kids and I just kind of stood there. We didn't really get it until they said, this is an award and it's for you.
Yeah, and Miss Alexis, by any way, I heard during the presentation of the award that you were actually asking them that they cannot interrupt. I hear that you're very protective of your student and the time in class. Is that true?
Yes. I teach in a dual language program, and so I have half the day with my students. Les enseño en español, and so all the content that we teach is in Spanish.
That's amazing. And it broke my heart years ago when Arizona started, you know, eliminating a lot of those programs. Now, Rafael, you hear the story of Alexis, and I'm sure it's very similar to you. How important it is for you as a teacher to reflect the students that you are instructing every day, particularly when we know the pipeline for the schools here in Arizona are mostly Latino kids.
Absolutely. I think it's so important that these students see not just a teacher that looks like them, but a teacher that knows about the history and the background that the students also go through themselves. One of the things I talk about is what is your indigeneity? De donde vienes? Where are you from? Who are your parents and where are their communities? Because a lot of times parents, they rely on us to give the education, but we may not be able to give a lot of the education that they can themselves unless we know of it ourselves.
Now, Rafael, you said something very important. You said, where do you come from? And I have always been adamant in all my conferences or talk that I do with students to remind them that if they do not feel proud or they don't recognize where they come from, they cannot know where they're heading to, where they're going, and how to get there. Why is it a big issue for our kids not to be proud of their identity or their background? And how does that affect their success, particularly in a school?
I think that a lot of our students want to be a part of the dominant culture, and the dominant culture may not actually reflect
they don't have blue eyes and light skin and blonde hair. Definitely.
I mean, yeah, like if I talk about my
sister does next to me.
My conferences sometimes can be a little sad because you hear mom and dad and they're speaking in Spanish and we're speaking in Spanish as a whole, but the student is saying, I'm not comfortable. I want to speak in English. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's not reinforced. It's not, and we as teachers have to be very much appreciative and say, look, I'm comfortable in this way. I'm going to look at my identity, and I want you to also feel as comfortable with yourself, Latinos and everybody.
We have Daniela Uraña Esparza Molina Vasquez. So you guys have cheerleaders too. Veronica Ortiz, you're amazing. Rafael Laura Berelleza joining us today. Also, we have Graciela Pacheco. So proud of you, Mr. B. You're such an inspirational. Valeria. Now, when we say that our story has power, Alexi, your story is amazing. I was with chills as I was sitting down at the table at the Esperanza Awards last week, right? Yes, because I haven't slept much lately, so I'm hoping it was last Tuesday, right? See, I'm not that, out there yet, or that getting that old where my memory doesn't work. So I was sitting down as I heard you speak of how you and your siblings were getting in and out of foster care. All the challenges that you had to overcome in order for you to get to where you are, and how you are so brave that instead of hiding your story, you're actually sharing your story constantly with your students to empower them, to inspire them, and to show them that if you could make it and get to where you are, even with all those challenges and obstacles in front of you, they can also do it.
Yes, I think it's important for us to really share those stories of challenges with our students because our students come to school with strengths. Their culture is one of their strengths. Their challenges are their strengths. The challenges that their parents have faced are their strengths. And so for them to know, you know, your family went through all of this for you to be here in Arizona going to school, you know, they went through all of that so that they could give you a better life. And that's a strength. You know, you're going to do amazing things. You know, you come from a tough family and you're still overcoming that. You come from a beautiful culture. You come from a beautiful country, and let's learn about it. And so it's understanding that our students have a lot of strengths, and even those challenges are strengths. And with the dual language program, we really get to explore that and explore their different cultures and their different countries and talk about what makes them special. And also, we have kids from all over the world that are in our program and that are in our school that are immigrants from every country. And so just knowing that their lives come with so many different aspects.
Exactly, and opportunities also to share and empower the community where we live. Now, what is your story, Rafael? I would like you to share because it's also impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I come from a family of farm workers, of hard workers who came here to, you know, have a better opportunity. And for me, I have 3 brothers, and I came from a program where I went through bilingual schooling, and Prop 203 hit here.
Exactly.
And so that changed my trajectory. I got moved to a different school that was English only, and from that point forward, I was struggling because, you know, I had an accent and I had a lot of Latino friends, and then it was just a big culture shock. But from there, I made it a big point that even if I wasn't going to get it at school, I was going to try my best to learn more about my culture throughout my growing up. So the high school programs I did really helped me. I did both Aguila and Upward Bound, and was a high school student who was just very studious because I didn't want to get so involved in some of the other things that were going on in my community. So instead, I would stay at school very long and take science for electives instead of having a free period. And so I ended up applying to over 35 colleges and universities as a senior, was accepted to about 30 of them.
30 of them. Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. That was the punchline. 30 of them. How does somebody get accepted in 30 different universities in college? What was so special about Rafael?
You know, I wouldn't have known. My parents are beautiful people who want the best for us, but they just didn't know how to go about this process.
Navigate.
I didn't know how to go about this process. And even my college prep programs were helping a lot in discovering the process. So in that process, you know, I was low income. I was able to apply for free. And I literally went through the U.S. News and World Report top 1 through 35. And
you started sending your application to everyone by chance.
By chance.
It was dedication, determination, and passion on your behalf also.
Absolutely.
Like yourself, my family comes from the farm working community, and I know a lot of people listening to us or watching us right now can relate. Now, a lot of other families had struggled and faced the challenges that Alexis did, you know, being in the system, you know, as in trying to stay together as siblings. And it was amazing what you shared during that night also, Alexis, how you had that kind of commitment with your siblings to always stay together no matter what and to stay in communication. You might not had your parents there, but you had family members that believe in you and supported you through the process also.
Yes, I had my cousin Lisette Flores. She was someone that when we moved to Arizona, her family actually took us in to live with them. And then from then on, she just always checked in on me and made sure that I was doing well in school, that I was applying for college, that even when I took a break from college, I had my son, that she made sure that I continued and finished on with college. And so she's constantly pushing me. And that's really makes a huge difference. Just one person. One person that's checking in and just showing that they're going to put that interest in you and that they're going to continue pushing you forward.
Well, I cannot applaud enough the work that Chicanos por la Causa does in our community in so many areas, but particularly having the Esperanza Award. And I remember many, many years of being able to MC this event and being part of it now, sit down and enjoy the event. It just highlights the hard work of the people that are actually building our future when it comes to our kids. And you guys have amazing stories from the background of farm working, hardworking people. You mentioned about the struggles within the families, and many can relate. I remember many times where people would tell me, oh, stop saying that you're a pueblerina soñadora, because that's the title that I describe myself. And that's who I am, a small town girl with big dreams. I know there are many of us. I am very proud of coming from such a small town in Mexico, being an immigrant, relate to the people that cross the border in so many aspects, having so many dreams and so many issues to overcome those dreams, so many obstacles, so many challenges, as well as yourself. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of members of our community make. They try to hide their background and their story instead of highlighting their story and their obstacles and their challenges to inspire others. Do you believe the same thing, Rafael?
Yeah, I think a lot of times people want to be a part of the system instead of saying, I see something is not right and we need to do something about it. An example I can give very quick is just, okay, so I have a student. The student is failing. They're failing in math. And a teacher could either say, that F is going to teach them how to, overcome this. And that's something that this teacher has been taught. And this teacher could be of the same background of this student. But have you gone to their actual home? Have you seen how do they study? And I noticed with this particular student, they didn't have a place to study. The room was very dirty. The TV was on and blasting. A lot of brothers and sisters. Mom's a hard worker and single mother, so a lot of responsibility for the student. Go over, you make room, you make the study times, and it's just one of those things where you can either go status quo and don't go against the grain, or you go against the grain because you're trying to find solutions for our community.
I love what you're mentioning, and Alexis, I'm sure you're going to agree also with this, that our students, the Latino students, face a lot more challenges and come with a higher amount of baggage than the traditional students here in this country, because it's a cultural shock in many aspects. We don't have the support because most of our parents are so concerned and focused on providing the basics for us at home that they cannot have the luxury to sit down most of the time and help in homework, or they don't speak the language, so that's the lack of support, and they feel inadequate in many occasions because they cannot do what they would love to do for kids. So for students to have teachers like yourself that understand what they face daily at homes, los problemas, the type of problems that they face, the challenges, how important it is that to reflect teachers as the students that you have in your classroom?
I think it's so important because we understand from our families, just because a parent is not in the classroom volunteering every day doesn't mean they don't care. Exactly. They're working 2 or 3 jobs to provide for their children. They might not speak the language, but they're trying. They're taking night classes and they're learning English. So they actually might have more language than some of our other teachers who are monolingual English speakers, because they speak Spanish and now they're learning English, and they might know an indigenous language as well. So they actually come with this wealth of knowledge and all of these different talents that we're not aware of.
They're not being recognized within the community in many aspects.
Definitely. So I think in that sense, we're trying to invite our families to come in the time that they have and asking them what their talents are, what their cultures are, and so that they can have that understanding of how the educational system works.
Embrace
so that when
them.
they're
Exactly.
in other classrooms, maybe with a teacher that doesn't understand their culture, that they're able to stand up for their child and advocate for their education and say, no, I think that I need to have the meeting at this time because I work at night.
Yes.
Or, my student learns best like this. Because I think a lot of our parents that we hear from in the school district are parents who, might have more time or have different opportunities than some of the parents that aren't there. It doesn't mean that they don't care. And so, or they might just feel uncomfortable going to a school board meeting or going and talking to the principal.
Because the lack of handling the language or the knowledge about the system. And there's so many other obstacles that I think the general market teacher would not understand what the kids are facing, in particular the parents of their kids in the classroom.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have Elsa Jensky. Thank you so much for joining us, for sharing. We have Aicha Ramlawi, and I'm sure I baptized, so my apologies. apologies for that. Thank you for sharing your story and love, Alexis. I'm assuming it's one of the teachers in your school.
Aisha's actually one of my coworkers.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Okay. Aisha, did I say that first name, Elise?
Aisha.
Good? Okay, perfect. I did one right. My apologies. I'm an ESL student too. Can you tell with the accent also? Reina Montoya joining us tonight too. We have Daniela Urania Esparza Molina, Chloe Mass. We have with us, we have Maria Gomez, Ana Dolores Kiwi with us. What is that happening? Me or my pre-recorded? No, you're not pre-recorded. We're actually live. So thank you so much for sharing the link. Now, what is it that you as teacher would like to see from the parents, from the community, in order for your work to be more powerful, more impactful, and to create a movement of change within our community when it comes to education?
You know, if I'm going to start with this, I think parents are doing exactly what they should be doing in taking care of their children. It's us as teachers, us as a community administration coming together and actually listening to what they want instead of putting face of basically, okay, we had this meeting, so let's check this box. One thing I really appreciate about the Alhambra Elementary School District is that we definitely have a lot of opportunities to meet with families. And right now there's definitely a coalition of families to come together and speak in the language that you have and have that translated so that we're all of common understanding. Because when we're of common understanding, then we can go ahead and have a common vision. So that's, I think, first and foremost, we need to be able to understand what we each need in order to get it fulfilled.
And amazing that you mentioned Alhambra School District, because if I'm not mistaken, it's 30, 60 different languages, backgrounds of immigrants. I was fortunate enough to learn about, the component or the backgrounds of all the families that live in this district, being part of the student lunch program with Grand Canyon University. It is amazing the work that you guys do there.
It's beautiful to see all these languages. It's so beautiful. Even in our last assembly, we had sort of a drumming circle from one of the African countries, and just the amount of languages spoken is beautiful because children need to see that we can go across these different boundaries of language and whatnot
and
culture and background and that doesn't matter at the end of the day if all of us want a common good.
Now, Alexis, you are in a school that is dual language, which is so rare here in Arizona, unfortunately. Rafael comes from a district where, diversity is celebrated, but yet we are residing and living in a state that keeps enforcing division and it keeps focusing on what makes us different instead of what we have in common. What is that kind of challenge representing your classroom? How do you talk to your students and how you're proposing to make a difference within our community, in our state? Because the future, it's the kids that you guys have the opportunity to impact and interact daily with them. Maybe us as an adults, we're not going to see that day, but they will, and they're the ones that can make it happen.
Yes, it's great. We're celebrating our 20-year anniversary of being a dual language school at Encanto. And so it's a great way to empower our students who are Latino to let them know that their culture is important and that their voices should be heard. Even at second grade, we're pushing students to be critical thinkers, and we're writing letters of opinion to our principal, to our mayor, to our governor, and to even the president, and say, look, this is a problem in my community and this is how I want it changed and this is why. And asking them,
empowering them.
Yes, I share it with my friends and family and people in my community to say these are second graders and they know what's going on. They see it on the news, they see it in their community, they hear their parents talking about it, and they're concerned, and it's something that affects their lives. It breaks my heart when something happens in the community and the kids come into school and they're crying and they're upset and they feel scared, and we have to set the tone at school. No, you're safe here. I know that's happening, but at school, you're okay. We're in the classroom. We're together. We're a family. We're a team. But setting them up with those tools so that they can fight back intellectually, they can fight back politically, they can share that information with their parents. We're a team with their parents. We're providing them the services they need, and then also letting the parents know how they can push back and hold their teachers accountable, hold their principals accountable, their school board, and pushing for what they want for their schools and their students, because all students deserve all the things that wealthier communities have for their students. We deserve it too in Phoenix and in small school districts and in rural areas too.
We should have the same opportunities. And I'm sure you have been seeing some of the images of those videos created for the Esperanza work, also from Alexis and Rafael, the amazing work, the interactions that you guys have with the kids, with the families. We have a lot of comments here. Elsa Jensky says there's no barriers for education, and these two young people are an example of that. So congratulating you both on this aspect. We also have Billy Carson. Wow, this is amazing. Great job, guys. We also have Ana Dolores Kiwi that says, hello, Mari. Yes, I watch you every day. These are amazing topics, and we need to bring this knowledge to our community. Maria Jesus Cervantes from CPLC, Chuyita is with us today. Congratulations to Alexi and Rafael, 2017 Esperanza Latino Teacher Award winners. Thank you for sharing your stories of struggle and resilience and inspiring us all with your commitment to immigrants' families. And when we use the term immigrants, both of your schools and districts are highly dense with immigrant families living and residing, which is the same story, I would say, across the country, but we keep focusing on division. What can we learn from both of you as teachers, as being in the classroom and hearing the stories of devastation with these kids? What can we learn today from you guys when it comes to the power of education and why we all have to get involved? Alexis?
Yes, it's been very sad to hear different stories from our students. I also work with Puente Human Rights, and so I do summer programs and evening programs with the kids and talking about how their lives have been affected by deportation, how their lives have been affected by the immigration system that's pulling their families apart. And having one student who kept stealing from the cafeteria and finding out that his dad had been recently deported, and he was trying to help his mom by taking plastic spoons and napkins and things like this. And so
that just break our heart. I'm sure there's a lot of people watching right now can relate to that. And for a kid to be forced to do that in order to try to help their family, it has to be a dramatic situation.
Yes. And so reaching out and asking kids what's going on, you know, and not immediately assuming or jumping to conclusions.
That is just bad habits. Incredible.
And then trying to provide services for them, having them understand what their rights are, setting up programs with the schools so that students can know their rights and parents can know their rights when it comes to immigration, and knowing as teachers, and then talking with other teachers, because some other teachers, they don't have the same knowledge and background we do. You know, if they say an offhand comment that isn't the most positive towards an immigrant student, to say, you know, well, actually, have you thought about it like this? Or, you know, there isn't really a way to get in the line and get, you know, go through immigration, you know, and understanding that if a family struggles so much to get here, it's for a reason, and that anyone would do that for their child. And so being on the same page and trying to get a good understanding.
Before we go with Rafael and his message to our community, who says, Moraima Eras, all of you are amazing, and thank you for doing this for the Hispanic community. So thank you so much. Also, Silvia Aracelia Paricio, great job. And I'm sure it's nice to get notes from the parents thanking you guys, Rafael, for the work that you do, a work that is so demanding and so little appreciation comes your way often.
Yeah, there's, I guess, little appreciation in a lot of different ways of monetary value, but the appreciation comes in that face and that gratitude. And what I mean by that is this is my family too. When we're talking about such things, like I wish that if I had like a lot of teachers like Alexis as well, and we worked in the same school, you know, it's beautiful to meet someone who does similar sort of work. I am you know, overwhelmed because when you speak of the comments, you know, we have Valeria Garcia who made a comment, and she's undocumented and unafraid, and what we were just talking about with the sorts of things of what do we do with devastation. Well, we turn it into action, and we turn it into empowerment. And I volunteer for Aliento. And through Aliento,
with Montoya.
Yes, and I was like, Reina Montoya right there, and Profesora Paricio, you know, shout out to her as well. But yes, the volunteering we did, we bring our students who, as young as Alexis' students, now they come to me as 7th and 8th graders, ready to give DACA renewal informationals, ready to be a part of delegations.
So in other words, you're not only serving as a teacher in classroom, you are the social worker, you are the counselor. There's so many different hats. Unfortunately, we don't have more time, and this is a conversation that can go on for hours. I hope this conversation gets extended within the community and families, and you know, around the table, and understand why education has to be part of our daily conversation. What can we do to better education for our kids? Thank you so much, Alexi, for being with us today. The same to you, Rafael.
Gracias,
congratulations, both of you, for being, you know, awarded with the Esperanza Award. Thank you to CPLC for the amazing work they do in the community, in particular highlighting the work of the Latino teachers. To you for joining us, do not forget to share the link. Thank you for all the members of the team at Mary Rabago Productions. This was Journalism with a Purpose con Mary Rabago, now in English. Hasta la próxima.